I represent Rivers West Senatorial District. I'm from Rivers State. So, President, I come under Order 42, and I want to discuss the 2020 International Women's Day. International Women's Day is celebrated every 8th of March, and this year, International Women's Day fell on Sunday. So I wish to discuss that. So I come under Order 42. If you allow me, I'll read, or I could simply say that I've already discussed Order 42 with you and like to go to Order 53. Order 52 to take the motion.
Okay, you may proceed. Just give us a synopsis because I've endorsed it, but you need at least 1/5 of senators present to allow you to do that.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished senators, like I said earlier, 8th of March every year is celebrated as International Women's Day. And this year, the theme is Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Rights. The Senate notes that International Women's Day is celebrated. Sorry? No, I can't put the synopsis. It's a motion.
You are not supposed to read the motion because I have to take a vote first to allow you. Oh, okay. That's the synopsis.
Yeah.
It's okay. Then I'll put the question. It's okay. I'll put the question.
This year, International Women's Day is Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Rights. The Senate notes that International Women's Day is celebrated on the 8th of March annually. It is a day set aside globally to celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. It is also a day to...
Chief Whip. Where's the Chief Whip? Minority Whip, please. Distinguished colleagues, this is a very important motion, and I want all of us to listen to the presentation because we are all for women. Okay, go ahead.
The Senate notes that International Women's Day is celebrated on the 8th of March annually. It is a day set aside globally to celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. It is also a day to inspire people to act in the ongoing effort for gender equality. The day seeks to celebrate women's contribution to society and to raise awareness about the fight for gender parity. The Senate further notes that International Women's Day was first officially recognized in 1911 and later recognized by the United Nations in 1975. In 1995, the year of the 50th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations, over 189 countries converged in Beijing, China, for the 4th World Conference on Women and signed an action plan tagged Beijing Declaration. Some of the declarations agreed by all governments that participated in the conference include the following: the determination of all governments to advance the goals of equality, development, and peace for all women everywhere in the interest of all humanity. Secondly, one of the declarations is acknowledging the voices of women everywhere and taking notes of diversity of women and their roles and circumstances, honoring the women who paved the way and inspired by the hope present in the world's youth. And also to recognize that the status of women has advanced in some important aspects in the past decade, but that progress has been uneven. Inequality between women and men have persisted and is a major obstacle and remains as a major obstacle, with serious consequences for the well-being of all people. It also recognized that this situation is exacerbated by the increasing poverty that is affecting the lives of the majority of the world's people, in particular women and children, with origins in both the national and international domains. And also that the governments are also to dedicate themselves unreservedly to address these constraints and obstacles thus enhancing further advancement and empowerment of women all over the world, and agreed that this requires urgent action in the spirit of determination, hope, cooperation, solidarity, now and to carry us forward into the next century. Some of the affirmations by all governments that participated in the Beijing Declaration includes ensuring full implementation of human rights for women and for the girl child as an inalienable, integral, and indivisible part of all human rights and fundamental freedoms. That the empowerment and advancement of women, including the right to freedom of thought, conscience, religion, belief, thus contributing to moral, ethical, spiritual, and intellectual needs of women and men, individually or in a community with others, and thereby guaranteeing them with the possibility of realizing their full potentials in society and shaping their lives in accordance with their own aspirations. The Senate is aware that this is the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration, and the theme for this year, International Women's Day, like I said earlier, is Generation Equality, realizing women's rights, with a particular focus on gender equality. The theme is aligned with the United Nations Women New Multi-Generation Campaign on Gender Equality. The Senate is so further aware that on the 25th of September 2015, all United Nations member states met for the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit in New York, where they adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. They came up with a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and in the future. To achieve this, the member states set up 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Goal 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals is to achieve gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. The reason for this is that the reason being that ending all discriminations against women and girls is not only a basic human right, it is also crucial for the sustainable future. It is proven that empowering women and girls is a catalyst for economic development and growth. Women and girls make up to about 50% of the world population. The Senate also observes that in spite of the Beijing Declaration and 10 years to the end of the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, gender equality has recorded little growth. Most women and girls experience multiple forms of violence at home and in the public sphere. We are still inundated with underage and forced marriages in our nation. Women are still being trafficked. Women and girls are still being trafficked for sexual and other types of exploitations. Women still have few choices of work and are still paid less than their male counterparts. Female representation as agricultural landlords is still very low. Women are not allowed to achieve their full potentials in the political, boardroom, and executive positions. The Senate further observed that it is incumbent on all Nigerians, and I want to say especially the Ninth Senate, to work assiduously to ensure that women and children are free from all forms of violence and are placed in the pedestal to attain their full potentials by joining in the campaign #EachForEqual. An equal world is an enabled world. Individually, we are all responsible for our thoughts and actions. We can choose to challenge stereotypes. We can choose to fight biases. We can choose to broaden our perspectives. We can choose to improve situations and celebrate women's achievements. The Senate accordingly resolved to 1. Celebrate all women and all Nigerian women and girls who have made outstanding achievements. 2. Celebrate all Nigerian women and girls generally. And 3. Urge all concerned with the amendment of the Nigerian Constitution to ensure gender parity is a priority in the Constitution amendment. 4. Urge all registered political parties to make it a policy to give women equal opportunities in all elective and appointive positions. Mr. President, all the political parties are just about to start the political process from the grassroots with congresses. This is the time for political parties to remember that women are important in the political process. And the last, urge all employers of labor to give women equal opportunities to allow women achieve their true potentials. And finally, urge all corporate organizations to ensure parity in top management positions and in the boardroom. Asomo.
Senator Ishatu Dahiru Ahmed.
Special attention that this chamber accorded us, that is the woman folk today. And it is a known fact that women in Nigeria constitute 50% of the Nigerian population, and also it's a fact that women constitute 52% of the voting population in this country. So women are part of people responsible for all of us being here. Mr. President, because of that, I'm calling on this 9th Senate to please do whatever is humanly possible to encourage the participation of women in all spheres of national life beyond what it is today. Mr. President, no nation can develop locking half of its population out of scheme of the national activities, from economic activities to governance to elective positions. It is on this note, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I want to plead with the 97% of my colleagues here that during the Constitution review, if we come up with our proposal, they should kindly and patiently assist to support the proposal without hesitation. On this note, I say again a very big thank you.
The motion presented by my sister, Senator Betty Apiafi, the chairman of the Women's Committee in the Senate, I know it's very, very timely, and it's us. Why is it so important now? Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, so many bills are coming up that has to do with the Constitution amendments. And it is the right time for this motion to come up so that when we come up with our own position, as stated in this motion, it will be accepted. Just like my colleague has said, women form the greater percentage of those that go out to line up to vote for us, for people that will come up here to make laws. And it will be very necessary that Nigeria should adhere to the Beijing conference decision. I want to appreciate the People's Democratic Party that has started the World Congress. I'm aware that the 35% has been given to women in the World Congress, and the same to the national. I'm very certain the ruling party, when it is time, will do that. When that foundation is laid, I'm very certain we will.
You know, I don't interrupt my colleagues when they make contribution, but Olujubi complaining, and I'm sure she is not part of the 35%. Go ahead.
Support very strongly this motion and call on my colleagues to please approve all the prayers so stated. Thank you.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, today, and I believe for this particular month, we are going to be hearing speeches congratulating women on how fair we have fared. And I want to stand here today, Mr. President, to say that those flowery speeches are not what we need. When we look at the current situation, the reality on the ground, Mr. President, the reality on the ground is sad. Sad in the sense that we have 50% of the total population being women, and yet disparity is what we see every day. Mr. President, we still have girl-child education in lacuna. We have girl-child marriage still in existence. We have total absence of women in elective and selective position, to the extent that this year alone, or rather this tenure, we have gone from where we were as senators and where we were today. I mean, the number of women in the Senate. Mr. President, all this is happening because we do not have the enabling law that protects women, that ensures that we have parity as gender, and that gender disparity is adequately addressed. We haven't addressed gender disparity. And when we talk about gender disparity, it appears we are talking about aliens, people that are coming from the moon. We forget that these are our mothers, our daughters, our wives, our sisters, and they are part of us, a very huge chunk part of us. And then you wonder at what point and what makes it logical for this group of people to be forgotten or to be left out of the elective and the selective position. But yet, when the need comes to have holistic number, when the need comes to have innovation, when the need comes for tenacity, when the need comes for the real job to be done, they start looking for women. And you wonder why. Is it logical? Is it fair? Is it the right thing to do? I think not. And so, Mr. President, I want to thank Betty for bringing up this motion, and want to go further to say that let's do what is right. Let's put in place the law that protects girls' child to ensure that the aspiration, the glass ceiling that currently exists is erased, that they have access to adequate education, and that they do not have to go to marriage at that early stage. But most importantly, that we have parity, gender parity, that every human being is equal in God's eye, and to have proper inclusion of women in everything and in anything that we do, so we can progress as a nation. And I want to stand here to also say that we cannot progress properly, we cannot advance our progress except we recognize the innate skill of women, that tenacity, that management skill, that resilience that women come with. And it's only women that has that. After all, they say that it's only an apple that we give to men and every other thing follows. If we can do that, you can imagine what we can do to make this economy progress. Mr. President.
Can you round up, please? Senator Chumoroke Namani, you are a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Enugu is the senatorial zone. For those who are grumbling about this opportunity given to me to contribute to this motion, I respectfully inform them that I'm the only male member of the Women Affairs Committee. Having stated that, I would like to thank our chairman for using this motion to draw the attention of Nigerians to this remarkable day. I would like to use this opportunity to salute Nigerian women. And as an Igbo, we characterize beauty from home going outside. Abiodun Christine Olujimi, distinguished Senator Ekiti South, distinguished Senator Rose Oko Okoji, distinguished Senator Cross River North, PhD Linguistics, distinguished Senator Uche Lilia Ekwurife, Anambra Central, banker, former member of the House of Representatives. My own chairman, distinguished Senator Betty Apefe, Rivers West, banker, former member of the House of Representatives. Princess Stella Odwa, former Minister of Aviation, distinguished Senator Enugu North. Anambra North. Distinguished Senator Ako Enyakeyi, PhD, Curriculum Development in Education. Former Minister, Land, Housing, and Urban Development. Distinguished Senator Akwa Ibom South. Distinguished Senator, Her Excellency Oluremi Tinubu, former First Lady, Lagos State, advocate for girl-child education, Lagos Central. Engineer Aishatu Ahmed Dahiru, Adamawa Central. Having done that, may I continue? Former member, House of Representatives. May I continue in salutation to great Amazons in our history. The ladies that led the Aba Women Riot, Janet Mokelo, Margaret Oko, Madam Tinubu, Queen Moremu, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, Ladi Kwali OBE MBE, Great Arts in Pottery, Queen Amina of Zazar, Hadria Gambo Sawaba. Distinguished Senate President, colleagues, poverty, ignorance, disease is still the burden and social malaise in our society. Women bear undue share, undue burden of this poverty. In addition to that, we have problems with public places and workplace harassment. Problems with violence, kidnapping, trafficking, rape, unequal pay for equal work. Early child marriages with vesico-vaginal fistula, bed trauma, female genital mutilation. If you look at the data available in terms of the global gap indices, Nigeria has regressed from 106 out of 149 in 2019 to 128 out of 153 in the global parity indices. It therefore becomes imperative that in addition to preachment on political parity, laws have to be enacted. Constitutional amendments have to be made, dealing specifically with bridging the gap between women and men in terms of political empowerment. It is therefore my contention that specifically the amendments be made that for senatorial elections, that women be given 2 positions per senatorial zone, in addition to the status quo.
You mean in a state or per senatorial zone?
Per geopolitical zone. Per geopolitical zone, 2 positions reserved for women. Per geopolitical zone, 2 positions for women, for the Senate. For the House of Representatives, 2 positions per state reserved for women. And other laws enacted to ensure near parity at the local government, state, and federal level, in all divisions, legislature, executive, and the judicature. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody? Before I go to the prayers,
Thank you.
let me congratulate the women, the ladies of this chamber, the ladies of the National Assembly, the women of Nigeria, and the women of the world. With the kind of percentage of our population that women occupy, it is only fair that they have a fairer share of participation in governance. But let me also observe that even though we have only 7 very distinguished ladies, Amazons, okay, 8. All of these 8 distinguished ladies in this chamber have done so well before they came into this chamber. All of them. From former ministers to former members of the House of Representatives to former First Lady to former Deputy Governor and so on and so forth. Bankers who transform into members of the House of Representatives, the recruitment ground for senators, and those of us who came from the House, you understand what I mean. So we have distinguished women in this chamber. I therefore congratulate you, and for what the parties need to do, I'm sure the parties are getting wiser. No party can afford to neglect the women of Nigeria. Whether or not there will be constitutional review or not, I'm sure there will be need for constitutional review to ensure that women in Nigeria are given better opportunities and more opportunities, of course, for them to occupy the rightful place that they should have, in governance particularly. But I'm also very concerned about women who are mostly not mentioned, and that is the rural women. They are mostly farmers and, of course, traders. We need to think about them when we talk about women, not only for political offices, but empowering them. Because one, when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. 2, when you empower a woman, you empower a family and even a nation. I think we should also pay attention to that side of our women. With these distinguished colleagues, I'll put all the 6 prayers, I'll put the questions on all the 6 prayers here. Accordingly, resolves to prayer 1, celebrate all our women and girls who have made outstanding achievements. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. I think there should be more than that. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, celebrate all Nigerian women and girls. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, urge all concerned with the amendment of the Nigerian Constitution to ensure gender parity is a priority in the Constitution amendments. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge all registered political parties to make it a policy to give women equal opportunities in all elective and appointive positions. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Maybe you know I will vote. Prayer 5. Urge employers of labor to give women equal opportunities to allow women achieve their true potentials. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 6. Urge corporate organizations to ensure parity in top management positions and the boardroom. Those and the boardroom. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.